Good day, Internet.
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 This is DTNS Live for Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 from the Las Vegas Convention Center, which happens to also be in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Tom Merritt.
And also from Las Vegas, I'm Robb Dunewood.
I think I'm here. I'm Jason Howell.
Yeah, you're sitting next to me. Who's the show's producer?
I am Roger Chang.
Yeah. There's also Amos, who's also the show's producer, and Robert Heron, home theater and TV calibration expert. Welcome back.
Yeah, good to see you guys
Good
in
to
person.
See you.
In the city of sin.
Who brought us this fine show today, Rob?
Daily Tech News Show is live. It's made possible by its listeners thanks to all of you, including Mike Akins, Norm Fazikis, Chris Allen, and our new patrons, Nicholas, Paul, that Brian guy, Eric, Ian, Douglas, and Ryan.
Oh, my God. What a batch. CES brings them in. This is DTNS Live, the show where we discuss the tech news to help us all get a better understanding of what's going on. We are doing it, as we may have mentioned, live from the Consumer Electronics Show where Rob and Amos and I have lived most of our lives now.
Pretty much.
Jason, you just got in yesterday,
years.
right?
Yeah, it's been a number of years since I've been to Consumer Electronics Show. This
When's
is
the
my
last
first.
time you were here?
God, when was it? I mean, it must have been like 2017, 2018 would be my guess.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, things
I'm
have-
super out of the habit. I came in yesterday afternoon.
You're like, what's this AI?
Yes. I'm trying to think of what was the big keyword that was floating around in 2017.
3D TVs?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Possibly. Robert, you got in this morning and you're
Literally.
leaving tonight.
Yes.
You know how to do it.
In and out, baby.
That's
is.
fantastic.
I may
smart way to
change our
go.
plans for next year, though.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys are having a good get-together later on today, and that's something I will unfortunately miss.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. If you are watching or listening live, or if you're listening to this before 6 p.m. Pacific time, and you can make it over to Resorts World in Las Vegas, Robin Amos and I and a bunch of other folks, KT Data, I know Allison Sheridan's going to try to get there a little later, and a bunch of listeners, I think Missoula's going to be there. We are all going to gather at the famous food court there for a little DTNS meetup. So I know it's a kind of impromptu, but do come and join us if you hear this in time and you can. We're just going to go to that famous food court in Resort World and hang out and chat. All right, let's get into some news. Thanks to Motang for posting this on our subreddit. In order to comply with the European Union's antitrust order against Facebook Marketplace, Meta is offering to publish listings from competitor eBay in Facebook Marketplace. It will test the idea in France, Germany, and interestingly in the U.S., which, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, is not a part of the European Union?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But they're going to try it there anyway. Where it is being tested, it will let users browse listings from eBay directly on Facebook Marketplace while completing their transaction over on eBay.
In an investor presentation, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said MediaTek might bring the ARM-based CPU inside the project to market on its own. But he also hinted that NVIDIA might have a CPU strategy of its own, saying, obviously, we have plans.
MediaTek is up to stuff. They're in a lot of things. And NVIDIA clearly is like, I don't know. You want us to make some chips, investors? You tell us. According to ET News, Samsung Electronics Vice Chair Han Zhonghee has confirmed that the company's AI subscription club will soon roll out to both Galaxy phones and the upcoming Bali AI robot. If you don't know, that subscription plan already works for home appliances, gives you access to advanced AI features, as well as some lower costs on repairs and maintenance fees. It is only available in Korea, but that might change, and we might hear more at Unpacked on January 22nd.
The Shack is back, baby. El Salvador's Unicorn Group is trying to revive the Radio Shack brand it bought in 2023, starting with a line of 500 product offerings across 17 different electronics categories. Sadly, they are not bringing back the Realistic brand yet.
Ah, man. Got to bring Tandy back, too. Valve announced that ahead of Legion Go S shipping, we will be shipping a beta of Steam OS. These are their words, which should improve the experience on other handhelds, and users can download and test this themselves. In other words, you don't have to wait for the Legion Go in May to run a legit copy of SteamOS on another handheld without having to use a fork like Bazite or something, or jumping through other hoops. The beta is expected in March, according to The Verge.
Honda showed us its Honda Zero EVs, the Zero SUV and Zero Saloon. The EVs will go into production in 2026, starting with the SUV. Both cars will run Honda's new car operating system, SMO OS, named after the robot. It will support level 3 automated driving, where drivers will not need to pay attention to the road in optimum conditions. I don't think they do that now, even if it's not optimum.
now you'll be allowed to. Exactly. I'm a very mean person, Jason.
Why?
Because you just sprinted the entire length of Las Vegas to get here, and now I'm going to make you go first.
No, it's okay. No, you're not the mean person. I'm the mean person for making any of you stress out. Since I got in so late, like y'all have like a couple of days on me. You've got your like early CES kinks out of the way. I'm like cramming it all into 24 hours, so I apologize.
No apology necessary. But I like what you wanted to talk about. Tell folks about the thing that you just saw.
Yeah, so I went to the Vasco booth, and they create kind of single-purpose technology devices. Handheld devices kind of look like a smartphone. There is another version of it that is just kind of like an earbud style. But, similar to a smartphone, maybe a little bit slimmer, maybe a little bit more durable. But it's all about translation. Like its sole purpose is translation. And, there's a SIM that comes with the device when you buy it. I can't, off the top of my head, remember the price on these things. But once you buy the device, the SIM is activated. The translation happens in the cloud. It's all kind of AI driven for the most part, though the company's been around longer than this kind of current moment that we're seeing in AI. And it's just this really kind of elegant on-device communication layer. So I could, set it to say, my language is English, your language is Portuguese. What's interesting about this, and it supports a number of different languages, of course, and different models paired up with the languages. One thing they said was, this model might be good for English to Polish, but this model might be better for Polish to English. And so we're constantly evolving and picking the right model for the right task. But I think what's really interesting about this device is you can do voice cloning on it. So I can, read this short, like 20-second thing, and which, by the way, is a disclaimer when you read it. It's basically like, I absolve Vasco of blah, 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 is the training information. Yeah. So I was like, that's really smart. And then it learns the timbre of my voice, learns the tonality of my voice. And then when the translation happens, so if I'm translating into Italian, it's my voice, but in Italian, and not just like dorky American Jason voice in Italian. It kind of adds a little bit of the localized flair as well, so it sounds a little bit more natural on the receiving end. And it was really impressive. I got to say, it was very interesting.
How was the lag in the real time for you?
So the lag, so this device is called the Q1. It's the Vasco Translator Q1. It's not out yet. Still kind of finalizing development. So I think they said, sometime the first half of this year that it should release. I did notice some lag. It definitely had a little bit of that latency between sending the signal to the cloud. It's kind of disappointing that it doesn't happen on the device more than relying on the cloud. There was definitely lag, but he was kind of assuring me that that's a result of kind of the early prototype version of it, or also just the fact that we're in a very challenging environment in CS, which is everybody's excuse, but there you go.
I tried out a competitor to Vasco on Sunday at Unveiled called Time Kettle.
Okay.
Have you heard about that?
I've heard the name. I've not checked it out.
It's fairly similar in the implementation. You have an ear device. They were saying you need their hardware because there's some processing that makes sure that it can understand what you're saying very well.
Okay.
That they do on device with their chip. I'm just passing along why they say you need to buy their device, but they say they've got some proprietary stuff going on. And it also makes it easy for the person to hear what's being translated. The lag for me was maybe 1 or 2 seconds. It wasn't bad, but it was like I would say something, let's say I said something really short, like, how are you? Beat. And then it would say, how are you? They say, or whatever, in the other language. And so I'm like, you could carry a conversation on this way. It's fine. It's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be fast. It's not real time in the sense of like, as I say it, it gets translated, but it's close, right?
Yeah, one thing that's really interesting along those lines in talking with them about the latency, because I do think when you're talking about these translation things, it's amazing what we can do now that we couldn't do nearly as easily before. Like, of all the use cases of artificial intelligence and modern kind of LLM technology, translation and language is a really strong use case for it, so it makes sense. One thing that they pointed out to me is, different languages have different, like, this is probably obvious to hear me say this, but have different structures of a sentence.
Oh, right, yeah,
and you don't really know what a sentence is until you hit that endpoint, until you hit that period or that punctuation or whatever. And then the device can take that thing you said and reorient it into the way that it needs to go into the other language. So this idea that like translation is going to be real time, probably, and I mean, from that perspective, probably isn't going to happen the way we might expect it to, because we'll always need to wait for at least the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be a little bit of lag time for that.
I've been learning Korean, and one of the things they say is you have to wait until they finish talking to know what they mean.
Yes.
Because
okay.
the verbs,
That's perfect.
the verbs are at the end of Korean sentences. Same for Japanese.
Interesting.
And so, in English, we could say "I am going," and you'd be like, "Okay, I almost know what he's saying. I just don't know where he's going." But in Japanese or Korean, it would be "I to the store quickly," fell down, which would mean I fell down
running.
while I'm going to the store, right? It's like until you get that verb, you have no idea what that sentence
Yeah.
is going to be.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think one of the questions that I have around devices like this is, again, time and time again, we come back to, okay, that's neat, but I've got a smartphone. Why don't I use my smartphone for those things? And this idea of the fact that we are so reliant upon our smartphone for everything, and I think we're seeing this a lot in AI hardware right now, is that the manufacturers of these products want to prove that we actually need a piece of hardware that isn't our smartphone to do the thing. And, there is something to be said, like when I checked out the translator, and the ease of use of just picking it up, it has a single purpose use. I just pick it up, I hit the button, and I go for that specific use case. I get it there. Something like like a Rabbit R1, which is often the punching bag or whatever. It's a little bit more loosey goosey for me to understand that. But with this, I get it.
Multi-purpose devices are never as good as single-purpose devices.
They never are.
Yeah, they just want to do so many things versus doing one thing really well.
I thought it was interesting that Time Kettle was also showing off an app as well. To that point, like they want to be known as a company that does translation well. And so they were saying, let's say you're at a PTA and you've got parents that speak 3 different languages, right? You got some Chinese parents, you got some Hispanic parents. You could just put this down on the table and it would translate.
That's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think I briefly mentioned the kind of earbud format or version of what they're talking about. And, it's more designed to kind of communicate through your phone as opposed to having its own connection, is my understanding. But what was really interesting about that is he said, we could distribute 20 of these earbuds to a group, have one person speaking in English, and have everybody else that's listening in a different language. And that translation happens in mostly real time for everyone at the same time in different languages. I'm like, wow, that's really kind of opens the playing field a little bit. Like, I just got back from, well, not just, but last summer I went to Italy, and we did some tours with a lot of people from a lot of different places around the world. And I was like, well, that'd be actually pretty neat, because then you aren't reliant upon booking just the English tour. Maybe this person has a better understanding of the place, and that translation can happen.
They might be the front runner for the Star Trek Universal Translator. That's the first thing that came to mind. It's like 20 different languages.
I mean, and honestly, the device itself doesn't look too dissimilar to that, So
It's like a Star Trek style device.
yeah, right.
Yeah. What language did you use for your demo? Did you use Italian?
I did Italian for the use my voice to translate. Also did Polish, because the founder is Polish,
okay. So you
and
could
most of
speak
the people
Polish
there
and-
speaking Polish, and so a lot of the demos, like, I don't speak a second language very well, hardly at all, enough to say no when they ask me, do you speak a second language? So I kind of had to rely on them, but it was Polish and Italian primarily. But the list was very long.
That system would actually take your voice characteristics and make it
Yes.
sound Italian? Or
Yes.
Okay, see, that is something that's lacking in a lot of the products I deal with.
Well, and I think the really cool thing about that is
That's a unique case.
It's a
And a
unique
use.
case, and what it does is it still keeps your personality intact. It isn't a robot. It isn't a third-party, random, generic voice.
Right. It's way more personable.
I was really impressed, to be honest, with the fact that it did sound like me. It sounded like an AI version of me, but it did sound like me as if I spent like 15 years in Italy, you know, and knew how to speak the local dialect and everything. It was really impressive.
I like it.
Well, when they asked me if I spoke any languages well, the fact that I don't didn't stop me. So when I did the time kettle demonstration, I did my poor version of Korean. But if you want to hear that, you're going to have to listen to Monday's DTNS briefing, where I did share a little bit of that. Let's move on to our next topic real quickly. This is more of like around the table, what do y'all think kind of topic. I've noticed that, first of all, Google Home Hubs now work locally. Thanks to Matter. So Google Home has said, you know, your Nest Hub, your Chromecast, your Google TV on Android 14, they can all take your request and handle your smartphone without going to the internet now. That is something that Matter provides. Not everybody has implemented it, but Google has, and that's a big step forward towards not even just if you lose the internet, but you want less lag on certain things, right? It won't take as long to go round trip. Also, I don't know about y'all, but I have noticed that every single smart home device maker that I saw, I'm far from wanting to say everyone here at CES, but everyone I saw had Matter compliancy on their list of things. They would have at least two of the others, maybe Apple, maybe Samsung, maybe Google, maybe Amazon, but never all four. Unless it was Matter, right? So they would have gone the extra mile to do a couple of the companies, but they all had Matter. I know Matter is becoming a bit of a punching bag because it's been so slow to roll out, but I argued in the DTNS briefing today that I think it's like Bluetooth and USB. We forget how long it took for those to actually roll out. In fact, I'm glad Robert Heron's on the show today because I feel like one of the milestones with USB adoption was when they did the thumb drives, and you were the first person to ever give me a thumb drive. You filed a story from Comdex.
Man, that gives me a
Comdex.
huge flashback on that. And how big of a deal that was to have such a true, like, what is it, a critical use or something that was like a cornerstone of what you could do with it, and then it was practical, useful, and it kind of opened the door from that point for any other device, and to give people a reason to actually use that port more than ever before.
Yeah. So I think we should far from give up on Matter. We should look at this and know that like there is a overwhelming building up of devices that support it. We have the big tech companies on board, and they are starting to do things like local control. So am I crazy, Rob?
If what we're seeing on the floor is telling us anything, when you're walking, two things you see. Now with AI, and now with Matter.
Matter matters.
Matter matters. We are absolutely seeing it everywhere. So as you said, it's taken a while to get there, but you know maybe it is now about to get to where it's going to really be a thing.
And it might still have a
companies.
little while to go, but
Right,
it's
for sure.
going in the right direction, right?
I'd rather not be locked into one ecosystem for any of this stuff. So it's nice to have a semi-open standard or a standard that more manufacturers are supporting.
Interoperable, right?
Yeah.
At the
Right.
very least. Yeah, yeah.
Because I love to pick and choose devices. And going back to the USB analogy, it's kind of very similar. It's like, hey, it plugs in, it works. You know it will. And it'd be nice to have that across the board for more of especially the home kit / usage.
Me personally, I am an Android and Google person for the most part, but there are things that I have in my house that aren't that. So if they can all talk to each other, it kind of makes me not have to go out and buy new stuff just because, I just got this new thing that doesn't talk to this old thing. So I either need to replace the old thing or I need to get a newer new thing that actually talks to both things. So I'm all for Matter being the standard or the de facto standard if it kind of can become that, and being interoperable, between multiple devices.
Yeah. I don't, Jason, have you noticed that in any of the stuff you've seen, or have you seen enough smart devices to be able to tell?
Well, I mean, since I've been here at CES, I honestly haven't spent much time with smart devices. Gotcha. This morning has been focused on kind of the AI stuff and that's and some smartwatches and everything. So I haven't seen it there, but I think I'm looking forward to going out and checking out what you're talking about on a deeper level, because I think it is important when you're talking about smartphone ecosystem for all of these devices to speak the same language. At least for the consumer. Maybe the manufacturers aren't keen to that, or although it kind of seems like they're coming around, or they recognize that we need that. Because just because I have a Google Home in my device doesn't mean that I want the other things that tap into that made by Google.
Right.
I want to be able to spread out.
You might see something, you're like, "Ooh, I'd really like that." Oh, it doesn't say made by Google, but it's Matter.
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I think we are. I think we are slowly gaining momentum towards that, and I think.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think Matter is probably an unsung star of the show at CES. I saw a few people writing that up. I think PC World did, a few other folks. But I'm looking forward. There's a German Matter blog that has documented all of the Matter innovations that have been shown off at CES 2025, and that'll give you a good overview of everything that is here. You know, there's a touchscreen panel that replaces your light switch. Zigbee sensors now have Thread, which is the communication protocol for Matter. We talked earlier this week about the certification, so that if you certify for Matter, you're automatically certified for works with Google or Apple that's coming. EcoFlow even doing Matter on its energy management. So Govee, LG, it does feel like we're getting some momentum.
And how long has smart home been a thing at CES?
That's a good question.
A really, really long time. But I think
Yeah.
I think this is the power of what is happening with Matter, is that now you start to look along the show floor and you see all these different devices, and it starts to make sense from a cohesive perspective without having to be isolated and siloed.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful for a true smart home where every bit and piece is automated, or smart in air quotes, like that. That's needed, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
You know what else I agree? Our Discord is awesome. So go join the conversation on it. We got lots of folks who are our patrons there. That are talking to each other about the technology, talking about the show, talking about all kinds of things. That's where I actually put together the meetup for DTNS, was in our Discord, and announced it there first. So if you want to join the conversations there, link your Patreon account or become a patron. Patreon.com/DTNS.
So one of the things that I wanted to personally take a look at here at CES is some of the different microphone and audio equipment vendors. So I had the opportunity to talk to 3 companies thus far who are all debuting new tech this week here at CES. So the first company is Mayano, and it's a up-and-coming company. And what's really cool about them is that everything they make, everything they have here on the show floor is under $150. So they basically are aiming at the streamers, the gamers, creators who are just getting into the world of audio tech, equipment, because it can be kind of pricey. So everything they have is under $150. The thing that stuck out to me that was pretty impressive was the Mayanocaster AME2, which is basically a little mixer. The closest thing I can think of is like a Rodecaster Pro 2. It does not do everything that the Rodecaster Pro 2 does. This is a $120 device. Wow. But it's for $120, you get 11 different programmable pads where you can put all kind of music beds and sound effects and all that kind of stuff into it. It has a lot of input. It has one XLR port. It has a quarter-inch thread port. It has, I believe, 2 3.5 millimeter ports. So you can plug a lot of stuff into it. You can't yet plug USB mics into it. That's something that they're probably going to do in another device. Maybe next year at CES we'll see that. But for $120, it is a really cool device where you can do all types of modification to your voice. It's just a really cool tool that a lot of creators would want to use when they're first getting started out. Definitely gamers would want to use it, and it's relatively inexpensive, and it appears to be fairly good quality hardware. So that was the first thing that I took a look at. The next thing was we dropped by the Hollyland booth and got to talk to a couple folks there. And one of the really cool things that Hollyland has is, when you're walking around the floor here, you will see, you can't go 10, 15 feet without seeing somebody with some type of lapel type of microphone, whether it be DJI or Rode or whom, or what have you. But Hollyland makes these things as well. And we did get to talk to Christian, and he gave us a little quick overview of one of the new devices they have, which is called the Hollyland Lark M2S.
Now this one, again, another treat because it's not released yet. This is our Lark M2S. This is launching January 9th. So from today, we've got 2 days.
Okay.
So this is the Lark M2S. So it's a slight upgrade to the Lark M2. These are the microphones. So the small side is actually the microphone there, and the way you would wear this is right in here. And so that is now what you're going to be displaying and showing is this little piece that looks more like a professional lavalier microphone. And so this one's staying on there. There's no way you're going to get that off. We actually have a challenge where if you can shake this off, you would win one of these Lark M2Ss, which nobody can shake these off.
And he is correct. Nobody can shake them off. I tried. It was not going to come off. What's really cool, and I'm kind of bummed because I actually just bought the M2s, which is just a slight upgrade to that. The M2s, what I liked about them is that they're relatively small. They really remind you of a true lavalier mic. But the only way you could attach them was with a magnet. So you just feel kind of, I wouldn't want to walk around
I
here.
get a little nervous about the magnet
Exactly.
thing, even though they're really strong. Like I've got the DJI mic too, and yeah, like it's actually kind of hard for me to pull that magnet off, but man, I just don't trust it. I'm just worried.
It's just I haven't had any issues with it, but I just
Yeah.
I don't know that I would trust it walking around out here because they're so small if they fall off. So this new
You
one,
wouldn't even know.
The
It's
big difference
gone.
is that it's made out of titanium, so it's extremely light. It's not going to kink your shirt up. The big part is actually hidden. It's behind your collar or behind your shirt. And it does everything that the M2 does, except for now you don't have to connect it with a magnet. You can just actually clip it like a real lapel to your shirt, which is really cool.
So it's so tiny. What about battery on that? Like,
So the battery is roughly the same as, actually I think it's even a little better than the M2 because it's actually larger than the M2. The microphone is what you see. The actual battery pack tucks behind your shirt and it's a little bigger. So you're actually getting more battery now than what you got in the older version. But basically, what they said was everything is pretty much the same except for a little bit better battery life, and you don't have to worry about it falling off because it's a magnet.
It's just from a footprint perspective.
Is that the
I mean, this
primary-
thing is gigantic.
Primary appeal of those devices is it gets rid of a cord like you would have with a lav mic.
It gets rid of the cord.
Is that the big deal? Okay.
Yeah.
Because
And I-
everyone uses them.
Oh
They
man,
use
I've seen these
Everyone.
things. Yeah, these things all over the place. It's nice because you can just kind of keep it clipped. You don't really have to think about it. It kind of stays out of the way until you want it. Like, you know, with the DJI Mic 2, you can just hit that red button and record on device. So it's like anywhere
Okay.
I'm at, I just go boom, and I'm recording. You know?
And you don't run into the old RF interference that used to run in with old-fashioned wireless
Yeah.
mics,
Yeah. I
where
haven't
you
had
just
that.
couldn't use them in a hall like this because there was so much interference. These are solid.
Totally.
Well, they do wireless linking as well on some devices, like to record on your phone or
Yes.
Yes.
through
Yes.
Bluetooth or.
Absolutely.
100%. I've synced it to
Very
the
cool.
S24 Ultra, and then of course to the Osmo Pocket
I
3.
feel like I should know more about that.
Yeah, the M2S comes with adapters, so you can plug it in. If you have an older iPhone, you can plug it in via the Lightning cable. You can plug it in USB-C, or there's actually the transceiver. It has a 3.5 millimeter jack that you can plug directly into a phone, so it'll actually sit into a hot shoe on your phone. You plug it into your phone, hot shoe on your camera, plug it into your camera, and then you're taking your camera and getting audio wirelessly at the same time. So they are great little devices.
Yeah, but they don't feel nice when you go like this on your face with them.
There's always a downside.
Yeah.
So the last company I talked to was Shure, and that was the one that I wanted to most go to because
Yeah.
I personally, for anybody who watches us normally,
love
when
that.
I'm on the show, I'm using a Shure mic. So Shure actually Sunday released the brand new Shure MV7i. And essentially what this mic does, it is the Shure MV7 Plus, which just came out, I believe, about a year ago. And it's a combo XLR / USB mic with really good Shure technology into it. It is not the sound profile of a SM7B, but it is really close. For, in most cases, a lot less. Now, this one is a bit more expensive. It's about $350. But the reason it's a bit more expensive is because in addition to it being a really good mic, it is also an interface. So you can plug one other mic into it. So this solves a problem for live streamers who are out in the field. It solves a problem for people who are doing stuff on remote where you don't want to have to carry a mixer with you to plug multiple microphones in. You can actually take any mic that has a XLR output or a 3.5 millimeter jack that can come out of it, and you can just plug it into this mic, and you now can use the actual mic as a interface for another mic, and then control everything multi-channel into the software that you would be using if you're plugged into a laptop or something like that. So it is a really, really cool device, and I personally see use cases for it because there are times when you want to just, I don't want to take a bucket load of equipment.
Right.
Like if you were to just look, you're seeing us look all nice on camera, but Amos drug in about 7,000 pounds of equipment to make us all look nice on camera. This MV7i, you literally just have one microphone, another microphone plugged into it, and Tom and I could be sitting here doing this without any of the additional equipment, less the camera, which is really, really cool.
And I'm assuming that records onto a stereo recording, each mic on its own channel. Is that right?
Well, you can do both. You can record onto one channel.
You can have it mixed or
You
separate?
can have it mixed.
Nice.
And it's not just plugging another mic in. You can plug in, like if you have a keyboard, if you're singing, you want to plug your keyboard in. You can plug your microphone and your keyboard and then have just one device that's capturing all of that audio. So it's a really, really slick device. I personally don't have a use case for it. So I don't know that I would actually get it, but if I were doing a lot of remote stuff like this, if this was like a every other week thing, we would be picking one of these bad boys up because, like I said, it just solves the problem of not having to carry a mixer with you and allowing someone else who as long as they have a microphone that can plug into something, you can plug it into this.
Yeah, with portability, you need to cut down on your weight and your footprint. I mean, otherwise you're going to be paying the price.
And it gives you that flexibility, too,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's cool. All right. We always love to talk to Robert Heron at CES because he is the guy that will tell us exactly what is going on in the television world. I tried my best to get you to boil it down to three big
tough.
points, and there's a lot. There's a
good
lot
stuff
going
out
on. Let's start with OLED. What's
Yeah.
happening with OLEDs? Because I think that's the thing most people are familiar with.
Totally. That is the eye candy of displays that you're going to find. And for 2025, you're looking at brighter TVs across the board from both of the main panel manufacturers, being LG and Samsung. We had a great example over at the Panasonic booth where they have a trio of their latest, the Z95B. That is a fantastic panel using the latest LG technology. And last year, LG introduced a panel tech called, 2 years ago, called MLA, or Meta Lens Array. That was a way of boosting the brightness of the panel, but apparently it did some slight degradation to contrast. They got rid of that, and now it's a new OLED stack, using more OLED materials to be a more robust display system, so it will last longer and can be brighter for the equivalent amount of electricity. Panasonic's demonstration using that latest panel, which is probably exactly what's going to be in the LG G5 flagship OLED from that company. It looks beautiful. It is significantly brighter than previous panels I've seen. And I would say between both manufacturers for the premium panels, you're looking at about a 20-25% brightness increase. And I predict that it will probably do that again next year. Wow. I was surprised. They've got rid of the Meta Lens Array on the LG tech and managed to produce a brighter panel. And with this new OLED stack, it's using new upgraded materials, and it's producing more pure color. So you're getting a wider color palette and a brighter picture, which are the two things you really want for things like HDR10 and Dolby Vision. It is just, it's as beautiful as it has ever been, so to speak.
So these are panels made by LG Display,
Yes.
which obviously LG Electronics is also going to use, but other companies can use it too, right?
Totally. It's anybody who uses the RGBW, the white OLED panel, is using something that is LG's technology. And in this case, Panasonic takes that. Samsung actually uses the LG panel in certain sizes that they are not able to provide.
'Cause Samsung makes its own displays as well. Right?
Exactly. And that's kind of a difficult thing here is to realize that there is an LG display and an LG electronics. There is a Samsung display and a Samsung electronics. The display manufacturers will post numbers of like what they can do in the lab, and it is astounding what they can do in the lab. But when it comes to the electronic retailer and what they're going to give the consumer, it's going to be a little bit less than that. They're not going to push it to the absolute limit that you see the display manufacturer demonstrating here on the floor.
Right.
And that is just fantastic.
Now, it would not be a conversation with you if you didn't bring up what's up with projectors, because there's always some good stuff, and I know you're an advocate for them.
I'm telling you, over in the Hisense booth right now, they have one of their flagship projectors. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. Oh, what is it? Oh, the L9 series or the LQ9. They're quote-unquote laser TV. The beauty of this is that it is one of the brightest RGB color light engines I've ever seen on a projector, with a very reflective Fresnel-style screen. They're generating about 1,500 nits of quote-unquote light output from...
We were having a hard time finding your picture of the projector because we didn't realize it was a picture of a projector until we noticed the projector.
I had that same issue when I'm looking through my photos. Like, I know I took a picture of this. I know I took a picture of this. And no, it really, for the quote-unquote laser TV, which is an ultra-short throw projector design onto a specialized screen material, it's not a low-cost setup by any means, but it is capable of generating something on a level that you just didn't have in previous years in terms of being able to produce a usable image on a showroom floor with lighting everywhere. that makes it pretty special right there. They showed some tech last year I was hoping would sneak in around here somewhere related to doing a local dimming style system that enhanced brightness in the picture or made it darker where it needed to be. But this is just a nice thing that's available now and will be coming.
It's pricey though, right?
I would say the screen is as important to the
pricey
whole
part?
setup
Yeah.
as the projector itself. The projector is probably $3,000 to $5,000, and then the screen is probably a couple $1,000s right there. But they're going to bundle it as a deal and give you a break on that. So, and as these things become more popular, the price will come down. This is just
And you could still use it without the screen. You're just not going to get all the advantages, right?
Totally. You don't have to use, and in this case, they were using a screen probably wouldn't be ideal for your home theater environment. This would be more like for, hey, this is going to be in the living room with some lights on. I just need a bright projector, and I can't get a supersized TV into this space, but I can get a projector box in here with a portable screen I can set up, or a screen to set up to actually match the performance of like LCD and OLED TVs from like a year ago, which is crazy for projectors.
Pretty cool.
Now, that's for people with not a lot of space. What about for people who have too much space? What is the CES ultra large television situation this
I'm telling you, there is a war between these companies right now. Namely, everyone who produces an LCD panel. That's like the new thing is to say, hey, we can scale this to sizes that were just not even possible a couple of years ago. We are now seeing currently 100-inch TVs for $1,500 on the value side. On the super premium side, we're going up to 115 and 116 inches for 2025. And they're producing exceptionally bright imagery. And through the use of RGB LEDs as a backlighting system, they're expanding the color palette of these TVs as well to come very close to matching what can be done with the HDR and Dolby Vision spec. I didn't think we would get this far this fast. And granted, this super premium ultra large TV is still a 5-digit ticket you're paying for a price in terms of what you're going to have to spend to get something like this. But it's available, or it will be soon available. And Hisense had shown off their 110 UX last year. Now it's the 115 in reference to the screen size diagonally. They throw out that 10,000 nit number, but other reviewers have already tested this out, and it well exceeds that by upwards of 50%.
Wow.
It's sun-like TV. So if you do have the room, and it's going to be probably like a 240-pound TV, if you've got the right mount to hang it, it would be a tremendous piece of eye candy to be able to brag about, and in say like the $15,000 to $20,000 price range for that flagship design. Is just, to me, it's impressive. And it's kind of a throwback as well. Where I mentioned briefly the RGB LED backlighting system, but Hisense, LG, and apparently TCL, I need to go back and talk with them for a second. But instead of using quantum dot color converters with blue LEDs to produce the color you see, they're using RGB, red, blue, green LEDs on the back of the screen to produce even more saturated color, to expand that color palette, at least beyond what I've seen possible from quantum dot TVs. And what their color capabilities are right now. So
that is one of the things with the large TVs is I remember seeing 115-inch TVs at CES 10, 15 years ago, but they were old technologies that no one would sell today. It does seem like it's like, fish only grows as large as its tank. Like there's an upper limit on how big they make the TVs, but can you make the current best technology in that size?
Right. And one thing that is missing, you'll see from all of the announcements this week, especially in the large format TVs, is 8K resolution. That just really isn't a thing. It clearly must be more expensive than is worth them to produce. I am seeing 8K projector systems. Samsung announced one. That will be out shortly. They announced that last year, but it'll be out this year. Same with Hisense also showed one off as well. But currently, if you wanted 8K resolution, real 8K, you would have to go with something like JVC's NZ9 projector. And
for TVs, we also don't have 8K content, really.
Right.
Whereas 8K monitors, you see those all the time because we've got video games that can take advantage
video
of
game technology, so you don't need the giant monitor. You need the thing that's probably a little curved right there in front of you.
And that's where the video, but for large, super large screens, it's nice to have that pixel density to make a more seamless looking picture if you get up close, but that requires some significant video processing to make that look right. And that's one area where you'd see companies like Samsung and LG in particular catching up to what Sony's been doing for a while now in terms of having effective video processing, like world class in terms of how you can take that older content or lower resolution content like 720p or 1080i and scale that up to the crazy pixel count you get with 8K.
Especially with all of the generative models we have that can do upscaling really well. Yeah.
I have some reservations about that technology in the sense that it can change the original look of things a little bit, but its ability to make lesser content or content that needs help look good at 8K resolution or whatever, and it's just nice to see it here now in products you can buy.
Another technology on the rise that you were telling me about before the show, and I know you're still kind of looking for a few pieces of confirmation that this is real yet, but tell me about this inkjet printing of OLED materials.
Right. TCL has a panel making side of their company that they are showing off constantly new products, and one of them happens to be the inkjet print design, and this is a way to move forward in terms of making a more affordable OLED. And the key being is that when you talk about inkjet printing, it typically implies then that you're able to do this at room temperature processes and with chemicals that are stable in air rather than the vacuum ovens effectively that we're manufacturing OLEDs with today. And currently the panel sizes are still pretty small, but they are mass producing them at, say, 24-inch 4K or 27-inch 4K demo they had, as well as 120 hertz technology. So these materials, and they're claiming that they're pumping these things out. I wouldn't be surprised to see these pop up in maybe computer monitors or some notebooks. They even had demonstrations of ultra bright versions of this technology. That was it's still lagging behind what the current best state of the art is for LCD or OLED even as far as overall performance, but it has come so far and with a methodology that promises to just get this into more people's hands at prices that more people can afford. Is really the big
and
interest.
It's not ink, right?
No,
it's just using the jets.
It's using that same technology though to precisely place red, blue, green materials. And what better way to do it if you can?
Yeah.
Especially if it doesn't require, if it can improve your yields, you can do it cheaper, and you can use chemicals that are stable in a less restrictive environment. More power to them.
And it means cheaper TVs.
In the end.
Better TVs for less money.
It'll get that computer, that sweet OLED monitor you want for your PC or your laptop sooner. And there's no reason this shouldn't scale out as well to larger panels, like in your home theater size screens. So.
Now, I saw Mo in our YouTube chat was wanting you to talk about Hisense. I know you talked about the big Hisense TV, but I know there's a lot of fans of Hisense because that's the model they see on the shelf at the Walmart or Best Buy. How are they doing in what is new for them, for people who are just like, I'm not going to pay $10,000 for a TV. I just want something good.
Well, they currently have like the record you can buy, that 110UX. Granted, that's $15,000, but it is the 10K or the 10,000 nit TV you can buy today, and it's just going to get better from there. What I'm really looking forward to is seeing like their new 8 series that's coming up, and even more so is their 7 series, which is even a better value, that's providing just levels of performance that really you had to pay a small fortune for a couple of years ago. And that is one of the areas I am most interested in. And it's this RGB backlighting system. Granted, it's in their premium product for this year, but that's going to trickle down if it proves to be popular, and a way for them to either move away from expensive or quantum dot materials that can't hit the color that they're looking for in terms of that saturated palette that you need for HDR, effective HDR presentations. And that's something I want to see move forward and make its way into more products. I can't wait to see next year if that actually makes its way out of the super premium and into maybe a step down, like the 8 series, their performance value line, or that 7 series where it's just like, that'll be a while before it hits that. But that's where I'm looking at for that company right now. Right. And they're a wonderful company just in terms of how I've watched them over the years. They are constantly refining what they do. They pay attention to how they build things. They are very critical about color quality, and they listen to feedback. And I have no complaints about any of that. And it's fun to.
High praise for Hisense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just going to make a smart comment about 16K and wondering when we're going to see that. Any clues on 16K?
Is there actually a 16K?
There will. Well, we have a cable for it now.
Yeah.
In the sense that the new HDMI 2.2 spec
right. Yeah,
is
yeah.
available, and the cables are currently. You can go into their booth and check them out right now. Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance.
They're ready with the cabling and the signaling, and I don't know if the test boxes are ready yet, but they'll have them ready.
Start shooting your video in 16K. Just
Well, I'm actually interested in the inkjet printing. But do you think they could actually take it back even further and go to dot matrix printing?
Oh yeah, $300.
quantum
Okay.
dot matrix.
The e-ink stuff here is actually another side of it. I didn't even get into it, but you can even go over to the TCL booth. But some of that is just fascinating.
No, Shannon talked a little bit about that. Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, there's some really interesting.
There's
stuff
efficiencies there, and there's a certain pleasure. It's very paper-like, and it's easy on the eyes to look at those displays, especially when it comes to text.
Yeah.
And there's something there, or a phone that could last like a couple of weeks between charges. I don't know. I'm wishful thinking now, but.
All right, let's take a moment and find out what you all have been interested in and check out our mailbag. Andre writes, those augmented reality glasses seem amazing. We were talking about X-Reel and ones like that. I'm a digital nomad, and the idea of having a pair of glasses, a keyboard, and something the size of a Mac Mini seems convenient. I wonder how video calls would work. Perhaps users could utilize their smartphone cameras. Screen sharing would be another necessary feature. And I feel like screen sharing is an easy one because they do act like monitors, right?
Yeah, it's essentially a monitor. So if you needed to share a screen, it would be I would imagine that the interface would be relatively the same as doing it with your computer today, because the glasses
That
truly
part should
are
be
a
easy.
monitor.
Yeah, but the camera can't be mounted on the display when you're wearing the display on your face. So you're gonna have to have a separate camera, I guess.
Yeah, like the iPhone idea, or your smartphone.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, Apple does a certain version of that, right?
Right.
With the Apple Vision Pro, like learn my face, and then all you need
And
to
then
track are
just-
my eyes,
yeah,
maybe,
give
and
an
that
avatar,
brings it to life.
yeah.
I don't know.
Mattia writes, I also have dyslexia, although it manifests differently, and appreciated Robb Dunewood being strong enough to show vulnerability and talk about his dyslexia. Not only was it interesting hearing about how he overcomes the challenges posed by his dyslexia, but it was really interesting to hear about the products he reviewed. Appreciate how the team is talking about other interesting things beyond AI and TVs, although, I know we just talked a lot about TVs. But I'm also enjoying the AI products. Hopefully you enjoyed the TVs today as well. But yeah, Mattia and a few other people wrote in. We're appreciative of that segment, Rob.
Yeah, like I said, that technology from Lely for Life, it is truly it's amazing what they've come up with. And like so, for people who have dyslexia like mine presents, where I've got two dominant eyes, it solves a problem. It tricks my brain into thinking that I am using one or the other eye, which allows me to actually read and not skip around.
And then finally from Jamie, follow up from your discussion, because we read Jamie's email about using ChatGPT. I have a baseline understanding of code once it's laid out in front of me. By studying the results, I can understand how the code works to get the desired result. I run the code through Visual Code Studio and debug the code there. We had somebody on the panel yesterday asking okay, but how do you debug when you get code out of ChatGPT? If I have trouble understanding the error, I can paste the error code directly into ChatGPT, and it helps me determine the issue. Sometimes it has trouble, but I eventually get there, and it helps me rewrite the code. It's a slow process, but it works for my workflow, and loved the discussion. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, folks, we are not done at CES. There's still CES to go, but that's getting close to doing it for today. Big thanks to Jason Howell for being here. Jason, let's talk a little bit about what you've got going on before we get out of here.
Well, what do I have going on? Android Faithful, youtube.com/@JasonHowell, DTNS.
Yeah. So starting on Monday, those briefings that I've been doing for CES are going to stick around as Daily Tech News Show briefing. And I'm already ready to answer all your confused emails about this. If you're a patron, you'll just keep getting them, right? You'll get DTNS, the live version that we've been doing forever. You'll get DTNS briefing, which will be a non-CES version of what I've been doing in the mornings. And you'll get Daily Tech headlines. So if you're a patron, you're covered. If you're on the ad-supported feed and you want this version of the show, look for DTNS Live, because starting Monday, there will be a show called DTNS Briefing that is very focused on analysis and explanation. And Jason and I will be hosting that Monday morning for the very first episode. Throughout the week, either Jason or I will be one of the co-hosts, and we're supported by some wonderful people like Wen Tui Dao, Jen Cutter, and Robb Dunewood, right?
Yeah, I've heard of that guy, Robb Dunewood.
Yeah, he's going off on some
making-
vacation or something, so you won't
making
get him
rounds.
until a little later. But,
Yeah,
you know,
Jason, thank you for filling in for me on Monday.
Anytime,
Monday
happy
is
to do it,
actually
man.
I was supposed to be there, but I want to be on the
enjoy
boat
your
somewhere in the
cruise.
Caribbean.
it's hard to get the VIPs, folks. That's it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing this to you. It's been a long and very considered process to figure out what it is. And I'm excited to be doing shows.
Oh
with you
man,
again
I'm
now.
so thrilled. Like this is just makes my heart happy because I got into podcasting with you because of you. And so it's kind of like, to a certain degree for me, it's kind of like coming home. So
Yeah.
happy to do it.
Fantastic.
And,
Thank you.
folks, we also need to thank Robert Heron. Robert, I always feel like I get smarter about TVs every time I hear you on the
Aw.
show. So tell us what
Thank
you've
you.
got going on and where folks can find you.
You know what? Some of the content from this show, chances are I'm going to be writing about it for the folks over at avnation.tv. So I do a monthly article for them, and I guarantee you something's coming up about that. No, sooner than later. You can also hit me up at robertheron.com if you just want a quick link to everything I'm doing, including calibration to home theater to you name it. And other than that, what else? Getting out of town tonight.
You got it.
Escaping
Get out.
Lucky, lucky
Escaping
dog.
Vegas. Unfortunately, actually, I need to stay at least a day. So.
Yeah, Robert will not be at our
Or a
meetup
night.
because I didn't get my act together to tell him we were having to meet up in time, but maybe next time. During the live show, one of the benefits of watching the live show is not only that you get to chat with GPEG84 and Zoe and all the Ryan in Minneapolis and all the other folks that are in there. Raymond is in there. Magundangamaga, Raymond. If you are watching or listening live, you can submit title suggestions either in the Twitch chat or at showbot.tv/DTNS. We've got a top vote getter right now of Are You Compliant? Do You Matter? From Saray TW. Techno mentioned with Bring Me a Babblefish,
Very nice.
which is good. Good Hitchhiker's reference. What else is in here? There's some good Robert Heron's CES eye candy selection. Is a good one. But yeah, if you've got title ideas, you can submit them there, or you can just vote on everybody else's. We don't always just take the top vote getter, but it does let us know, like, okay, a lot of people are enjoying this one. We should say that we went with Saray TW's title. Are you compliant? Do you matter? Thank you, Saray TW. You are fantastic.
Nice.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, we want to thank our Twitch and YouTube folks. LinkedIn folks watching. Thanks for watching. YouTube folks watching. Didn't get any super chats together, today, but we really enjoy seeing you all in there. And on Twitch, we got some long-time subscribers and some new folks. Hello Kitty followed us 25 minutes ago. Techno Mensch cheered us with some bits. Zoe cheered us with some bits. Ryan in Minneapolis is back for the 14th month. Technique gave us a shout out yesterday. Thank you, Technique, for that. That is all the folks on Twitch today, but thanks to every single one of you who supports us in whatever way you can.
And if you would like to get a recap of the tech headlines of the week and get into how it affects and disaffects communities of color, then check out the Tech John, where Robb Dunewood, that's me, Stephanie Humphrey, and Terrence Gaines dive into the top tech stories of the week, delivered from points of view you don't always hear in mainstream media. New episodes land on Tuesday afternoons unless they are Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve or CES week. So we've kind of been on a little bit of a hiatus. Yeah, sure. But most Tuesday afternoons we have a show out. You can find out more at thetechjawn.com. That is thetechjawn.com.
All right, folks, go check it out. You got time to catch up because we dominated all of Rob's time this week. Last few minutes, any other last impressions of CES? You know, like favorite food? Yeah, you've been here like 2 hours, but
You say that as if I've eaten any food.
did
since
you
I've
end up eating last night at all?
I ate a little bit, but it wasn't amazing. And then I got busy. And yeah, food for me, let me just tell you really quick. Last night, I was editing a video for my channel, and I was like, I'm going to do DoorDash. I've never done DoorDash, so I'm finally going to do it. And I totally sent the driver to the wrong place. An hour and a half later, I had to just be like, you know what? Just keep the food. I will pay for it. Have a good night. So I went to sleep hungry. It's just the story of my CES is hunger at this point.
That's such a sad story. I want to buy you dinner.
No.
in retrospect.
It's not that I can't. It's just that it's not working out for me. I need to set aside the time.
Yes.
I will.
This is a great city to try a different restaurant every time you come.
It's never easy to get the food, though. They have so much good food. You're not wrong, but it's always fun.
I will eat, I promise.
So motorcycle riders, when they pass each other, they tend to wave or do the heads up or something like that. It's just a thing that motorcycle riders do. I am noticing that DJI Osmo Pocket 3 users are giving the heads up because there are about 2,000 to 10,000 walking around with these ridiculous. They are everywhere at this conference. So that's not about the conference. They've been out for a year. But I've got
Those
one.
jerks with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 are everywhere. As I hold one up.
3 out of 5 people on this panel have an Osmo with them, right? Yeah.
So that is just noticeable. You see, literally everybody's walking around like with a DJI in their hand, getting crispy 4K video. So DJI, it's been a year, but you've got a device. It is a device.
It is very impressive how quickly CS went from I'm lugging around a 20-pound camera, like ENG camera, and now you got this stuff in your pocket. And it's like, where was this 15 years ago?
100%.
Yeah, I've multiple times today, just walking down the aisle outside the central hall, I saw people setting up, for their stand up, and I'm looking around. I'm like, where's the camera? And in at least one case, they had it in their hand. They were just going to use the Osmo and shoot themselves. But in another case, it was somebody with another tiny little camera there. It's just,
It's
so much
impressive that this is the future of newscasting, for better or for worse. It's going to be some guy or gal or a group of people with these things in their pocket, standing at the strip mall that just caught on fire. It's just like, hey now.
Oh, I kept meaning to mention this throughout the show and kept getting distracted. If you're wondering where Sarah Lane is today, she's fine. She is fine. I know that Roger and Sarah and I all live in Los Angeles, and there's really bad fires there. Sarah is doing fine. She lost power and wasn't able to get a connection that was good enough to be able to stream today. But we're sorry that she couldn't make it. But don't worry about Sarah. She's okay.
Good to hear. Yeah,
Worry about Roger. Roger, you okay?
I haven't got my evacuation order yet, so hopefully it doesn't come around.
Neither has my wife, who is still in Los Angeles. We had a fire get within 2 miles today. I think they got that one down. So, yeah, it's no joke, man. This has been a very stressful couple of 24 hours for everyone in Los Angeles. So,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
So I wish everyone.
I didn't want
travels.
to bring us down at the end of the show, though. So somebody say something fun.
I'm about to go see the latest and greatest from Samsung. They do that every year. They do this thing called the Innovation Room, where they show off some forward-looking technologies or stuff and they bring in the people responsible for it, and they do give a presentation. And it's a great way to see the best of what's coming out this year, but also a good look at what they're focused on for the upcoming holidays and the following CES.
Yeah, and Samsung's right there.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
It's a booth.
It's right behind us.
I'll say, Jason, if you're still hungry and you want to treat yourself, definitely hit up the buffet at the Wynn or the Encore. It's really, really overtly luxurious, but it's like, this is what people mean when you splurge in Vegas. That's like an object lesson.
Yeah, buffet is not the thing that I jump to when I think splurge, but it's a good buffet.
No.
Like when you have a buffet with, I know, Robb Dunewood, you can't eat them, but just crab legs, just like the size of a baseball mitt. Just
Wiffle ball bats.
whatever you want, you just grab them and you feel it's amazing.
I was just going to double down. The buffet at the Wynn is something different. Don't think Golden Corral.
No.
The
I
smorgasbord
can't
or
help
something
it.
like that.
I've been burned so many times, Rob.
It is quite good.
Or the Parasol Up Bar. May recommend that.
Imagine if your
At the Wynn,
toilet paper was silk.
It's on that
That's
artificial
kinda
lake.
I actually know what you're talking
luxury.
about. I forgot the name. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today from Consumer Electronics Show 2025. We'll be back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Still working on what we're going to talk about with him, but we might follow up some more on the Meta thing. There's been a few more developments here and there. You can watch us live Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. Find out more about that by going to dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Goodbye for today from CES, everybody.
Bye, folks.
Hasta luego.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.